that was used that was to be determined for drinking purposes. The Greeks and the Romans used to they use settling tanks, they use sieves, filters, and the process of boiling during their time. So the period is called antiquity between 500 BC and 500 AD. Then you all must be aware of it. And then when the Roman Empire fell, after which the water supply, there was no major activities that took place in with respect to water supply till the 18th century, till 18th century when industrialization began to take place, took everything to a new level, and steam engine came into picture, and steam engine was used to draw water from underground water resources as well as from water sources that were available very far off. So many like cities and castles and monasteries had their own wells and fountains or cisterns, like storage of water tank from the uh, from rain. And of course, I mean the toilets and latrines were also constructed, but couldn't suffice the increasing population. The Great Britain was considered as a forerunner of modern water supply and sanitation systems. But I mean, innovations were happening in other parts of the world also at the same time. Uh, for kind of just for for purpose of more information, I mean, even New York didn't have a kind of a pipe water system for itself for a very long time. I mean, New York was reliant on their own wells, the private wells and public wells, and something called like a collect or similar to a cistern or rainwater collection. Now, as the kind of water quality began to decline, then they started also construction of a reservoir at Croton, and that is the from where the water actually comes in. Came into the New York from a faraway source. Britain and London was also mainly reliant on their local springs and water and the Thames River. But during industrialization, Thames became very polluted. It kind of it became like a drain or a nala because even the sewage was dumped in the rail, and the industrial kind of things were also done. Kimaya, someone's asking whether it's getting recorded or not. I think it is getting recorded, right?
Sorry, I was on mute. I didn't realize. It is getting recorded, right?
It is.
That time thing isn't showing normally, next to the recording sign it says how much time has elapsed, but now it just like
For me,
blank.
it's showing. Maybe there
Okay,
is a
okay.
lag. So
Sorry,
it's
sorry.
recording. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
No, it's okay. Perfectly fine.
Yeah. Let's continue. So yeah, so where were we? London. So London also didn't have a because the I mean let's face it, the Romans didn't construct any aqueducts in London, so they didn't have a supply of a supply system to taking water right to their own home. So they relied on their wells and fountains and the Thames River for their own for those purposes. Yeah, someone saying the notification. Should I continue or you want to start recording again or something? Kimaya?
Sorry, I didn't realize again I was on mute. It is recording. It's just that the student is just informing that in the notification it came that it's recording. So no worries.
So I can continue now. It's okay, na?
Sure, sure.
Or you
Yeah,
want to
yeah, continue.
start again from some point behind? ऐसा
No,
कुछ करना है? नहीं ना?
no, I don't think so. It generally pops up a message for me if it's not recording.
Oh,
So,
ठीक है. Yeah. So yeah. So then again in then finally kind of London had their own system built where they built a conduit in the Taiwan region, the springs that had to be tapped from there. So Yeah, that is about it. But one has to always remember that the drinking water was never drinking water at public places were never charged. Neither in kind of place, neither the Romans did it, nor the people of London did it. I mean, they did it, and neither the people of New York did it. And we'll see some similar examples in Mumbai also, where there were certain water fountains that were erected that that are available for the public to consume free drinking water, and they became places. They became those pause points during the within markets for people to kind of meet and greet and kind of exchange pleasantries. Himaya, you want to add something on the brief history of water supply systems,
No,
or
I
should I
think
go
most
ahead?
of it, no, most of it you have covered. Is just that, guys, you need to understand that the sourcing of water has evolved over the period of years, because also you have to understand that the consumption pattern has changed explicitly.
Hmm.
And I think after knowing the history, and as you now, Durvesh will take you to the current scenario, then you'll realize it. Any questions you guys have till now, or we should proceed? I think Durvesh proceed.
Yeah, I
How
think this was
how
pretty.
Okay.
exactly, sorry, how exactly did the gravity, like the gravity transfer water work? Like for it to go from up to down, they would have to take it to a high place in the first place, right?
Right.
Yeah,
So
so
if you
most of
understand, okay, sorry,
yeah. No, continue,
Duresh, go
continue.
ahead.
No, no, continue, continue.
So,
Sorry.
so if you understand the historical systems, they have been tapping the water at the higher altitude, and then your aqueducts or your canals are the tools through which it is going to reach to the consumer, and that's how you can actually utilize the gravitational force to transfer the water. So it's always been tapped at the higher side on the traditional mode. Now, regarding the aquifers which are underground, then you definitely have mills wherein you're pulling out. So right now you use pumps. At that time, the pumps were still not invented, and because of which these wells were there, which were access points for the underground, the canals. Um, Wherein you just use your pulley system and try and get the water up. Does that answer your question, Shravan?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, one more thing I would like to add is that this transfer of that happened via gravity. Hello.
Yes, yes,
So
we are
the, so,
listening.
the, so the selection of the water source was very important. It's just that the quality of water was not important, but its location was also very important. It had to be at a place at particular site from where you can actually begin to construct. It was not just कि तुमको दिख रहा है and you see the water is good, but you should also be able to construct from that point in time. One more thing that one also has to take into consideration is that they were aware of the system of uh, siphonage. Hello. Yeah, are you all aware of what siphonage is? When water is pushed at a great force,
Kind of.
huh? Kind of, kind of,
Kind of, kind of.
kind of. So when water is pushed at a great force, even if when it falls down, it will rise into another a capillary or another tube that is connected to it. So that was also one of the media that was used to transfer water from a lower altitude to a higher altitude, but it had to drop off from somewhere. So the aqueduct, along with gravity, they also used these kind of siphoning actions to a certain extent, but not everywhere. The predominant system was gravity.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? This is pretty kind of just briefing on how the water kind of the water was transported and what are the significant events that led to the water kind of reaching us. Kimaya, Kimaya,
Yes, yes,
I
Bolo.
think I will since you're talking about history, I think I'll continue with the history of Bombay, water supply of Bombay, and then get back to the sources and everything.
Okay,
I think I'll do that first.
okay. Whatever is comfortable.
So since that we are talking about the history of Bombay of water supply, let's discuss the history of the water supply system in Mumbai and what the present system is all about. Then we will go back to the sources of water, and then we will
But
go
just to
back to the.
understand how the okay, I just have one reservation. Just to understand that how the Mumbai water system has evolved, they might want to know the sources of water first, so that they could relate.
But we're talking about tanks and wells, so
Oh, okay, fine, sure.
and
ठीक
lakes.
है,
So I don't think there is
ठीक है.
kind of
Okay.
more to explain. Even that sources of water is just going to be a very brief thing because I don't think it requires for them to go to that depth
Fine.
and detail.
Sure. Sure, sure, sure. ठीक है.
Hmm. So let's talk about the water supply system of Mumbai. Like earlier, when Mumbai was a very small place during the pre-British era, you had the water. It was surrounded by sea on all three sides. So you had the water resources that were small wells and collection tanks located in the South Mumbai region. Now the increasing population meant that you had to provide some other alternative. So certain major tanks were constructed in Mumbai during those times. You all must have heard of places like CP Tank, Gwalior Tank in the city. You
No.
all must
Yes,
have
you
traveled
know.
to Bandra Talav, Banganga.
Yes.
Banganga is again something that everyone's aware of. Most of the people are aware of, right? Hello.
Yes, yes.
Ganga tanks. So
Yeah.
these were tanks that were constructed during that time, during the 18th century and 19th century by philanthropic citizens who kind of look like who are looking after everyone kind of as everyone's benefit for and then we had a pipe system that was put in which came much later on, right? And some wells were also constructed during that time. So these tanks acted as the major source of drinking and domestic water supply for the citizens of Mumbai for quite some time, till about I think 1858 or something. So uh, these like we talked about drinking water systems in London and New York. They had this similar kind of a system where these were the water fountains that are situated in Mumbai that were erected for the purpose of providing clean drinking water to its citizens and a place which so when we talk about the water that was provided by the Romans, by those in London, by those in New York, by similar these were similar water fountains that were located that at strategic places. So uh, water was never looked at something that has to be charged as such unless it is piped, but for public this water was freely and readily available. We have public water drinking systems also. If you all see, they are available at railway stations, available in various small other places also for people to kind of get free drinking water. So these were those kind of yes, the system of drinking water has evolved in these kind of stages where we come to this kind of where water is treated as a very kind of a sacred commodity or something that we call that you should always give water to people that come to your place, like that kind of a thing. So no one should be denied water, and that's thought that was prevalent during the Roman times is still present even today, or was present even today, even to some point of time. Okay. Now, of course, in 1845, there was a major protest that happened as a result. The Bihar Water Works project was commenced in 1856 by the British government and it was completed in 1858. Presently, water, the present system of water is water is supplied via, yes. So is supplied by these lakes, by the seven major lakes that are situated in and around the vicinity of Mumbai. So this Vihar Waterworks was the first project to be commenced during that time. Of course, its height was increased subsequently. Then this was followed by the Tulsi Waterworks and the Tansa Lake projects, and subsequent other other lakes were dammed for this purpose. And yeah, a huge 32 centimeter circumference pipeline was laid between the Vihar and the main city. And this pipeline was actually something that connected to these water fountains underneath. These water fountains were erected during I think from 1865 to 1950, during that period of time. These water fountains came into their existence. They're still there. There is a conservation movement going on in the city to save these water fountains. They're called as pia pios. Kina, what are they called? Pios, nahi. Pios or something.
Piaus, piaus.
Pios,
Yeah.
yeah, pios. Huh. I can never pronounce it. It's not a it's a I think Gujarati or a Rajasthani name kind of a thing. It's not a Maharashtrian name. Hello,
In Marathi, it's called a pyau.
Pyao.
Piau.
I always get confused between the name. It's not called it's not a Maharashtrian name. It is called a Pyao, but it's not a a Marathi name as such. Its origin, the name origin is in I think Gujarat or Rajasthan.
It's piau, and then
Yeah,
in Marathi we call it as piau.
something like that. I have to talk to Rahul Chemburkar again because he does a lot of conservation of these pyars.
Yeah.
You know Rahul Chemburkar, no?
Yeah.
Hmm. So, and by the way, they're doing masters together for Kimai. If you didn't know.
Okay.
Yeah, so these were the tanks that were present in Bombay at that time, in Mumbai at that time. Out of which only the Banganga and yeah, Bandra tank are still in existence. So what happened was when these Kimai, can you unmute yourself?
I am unmuted. You want me to mute myself or unmute?
Sorry, mute yourself because
Oh,
your clicking is kind of interfering with my clicking.
oh, I was actually sorry. Uh,
No, because I didn't
I
because
was
this thing works on.
responding to the chat.
Okay, yeah, if I didn't have to click, I had no problem with it. So now since the water pipe system came into Mumbai, these tanks were considered unfit for human consumption because they acted as a breeding ground for mosquito, and since they were kind of open, because they were difficult to maintain, they would kind of get polluted very fast. So hence they were filled in. You all have seen the Agast Kranti Maidan. Is everyone aware of it? The Agast Kranti Maidan.
Yes.
Yeah. So that area is called the Gwalior Tank. So the entire thing was filled up to create a Maidan over there. Like many people must be aware of the history of Mumbai. That is the tank. CP tank area. There is some building over there. The Framji Kovalsi tank has a building. Yeah. Cool. So this is how piped water came into existence, and in Mumbai after the beginning of the after the commissioning of the Vihar water works and subsequent other lake projects, we had to we shifted from a very groundwater based system, groundwater based drinking provision system, to a system of tapping water at a source that is far away from the place where it is required, and using pipes, or as the Romans had aqueducts, to get water from there to the area of consumption. Now we have many lakes. Yeah, like this is the Banganga tank. that is still present, available even today. This is the Bandra tank, Bandra Talao is what we call it. So when we talk about a pipe water system, the pipe water system now involves involves three basic components. That is the collection that happens at a source. The collection place is very important. It has to be a place where there is it has a larger catchment. For example, the valleys in hilly areas, hilly regions has to have a larger catchment for you to create to build a reservoir or to dam the water of an existing lake or a water source. Then you have to get that water to a purification to a purification plant where to filter this water, make it potable, and finally you use a system of distribution to take it to the individual user. During earlier time, the process of filtration, as we discussed, the Greeks and the Romans, they didn't have an immaculate process of filtration. What they did was they let the impurities settle at the bottom, or they boiled the water. The level of turbidity played a very important role in kind of determining whether the water was potable or not. So, and they used their sense of smell and taste to a considerable extent to make to kind of distinguish between potable and non-potable water. Water might appear clean in a lake or in a pond, but it might not be potable. So now, when we are using a pipe water system, we install these purification plants, these filters, these areas where we can actually remove the impurities and make it as potable as possible for the end user. So we have two such plants in Mumbai, in and around Mumbai. One is in Mumbai. Same thing. It just kind of reiterate certain points. Kimaya, are we giving them these presentations for reference?
So they get the recordings of it. Eventually, they will see the slides of it.
Okay. Anyway, but are we presenting it to them? No, giving it to them by
No.
email or something?
It's at the discretion of the faculty actually.
Okay, cool.
Most of the faculties are not doing so. So I don't know.
Let's see. Let's see. Yeah. So this is the basic system that you collect water. You're drawing, like, I'll just read it out. Y'all also read it with me. Drawing of water from the sources is called intake. These works include identifying the water source and its collection either by constructing a dam or by providing a gate chamber containing necessary valves for regulating the flow of water. These are called storage reservoirs. Purification or treatment works. This includes the provision of water treatment plant. Yeah, this includes the provision of water treatment plants, either by gravity filters or pressure filters, depending on the population to be taken care of with the treated water. Transmission works. Now, this is something that is practiced in Mumbai, where you transmit the treated water from plants to a service reservoir, from where water is stored before it is being channeled. And the last is the distribution system, where the distribution system comprises the distribution of water from service reservoir till it reaches the consumer end. Now, so the purification. So there is another step in purification. There's one small step between purification and distribution. That is a transmission, where this step depends on the population and where it has to and how much it has to cater. In Mumbai, we have a transmission system at a place where the water is stored in service reservoirs. Going back, yeah, the three main things are intake or storage, purification, and distribution. Right? keep it simple, it's pretty clear. Now this is what happens in Mumbai. You have 7 impounded lakes, right? You have Bihar and Tulsi, which are inside Mumbai, and Tansa, Modak Sagar, Upper Vaitarna, Bhatsa, and Middle Vaitarna, which are outside of Mumbai, about within located anywhere between 100 to 150 kilometers from Mumbai. Then you have 4 water treatment facilities. The Vihar and Tulsi have their own water treatment facility, whereas you have a massive water treatment facility at Bhandup, which at one point in time was the largest treatment facility in Asia, and it still is the largest treatment facility in one location location in Asia, right? The largest one in Bhandup. And the fourth one is at Panjrapol, which is in the Bhiwandi district of Thane. Yeah, the Bhiwandi district of Thane. The process of filtration, we spoke about filtration where we talked about settlement and tanks and using sieves and boiling. Now here the process becomes slightly more technical, where we use the process of coagulation, flocculation, settling, rapid sand filtration, and post chlorination. Have you studied these processes anywhere in your junior years in schools or in colleges?
A very basic form of it, like nothing this detailed.
No, no, we are also not going into the details of it, but you should be aware that these processes exist.
Yeah, like even less detailed than this is what I've studied personally.
Okay. But nee, I'm talking about the process of filtration.
Yeah, I visited in Bhiwandi for
You visited
sea
in Bhiwandi?
filtration.
Who visited?
Yeah,
Who is this? Can I?
Harshad,
Acha, acha. Can you
Harshad, Harshad.
explain? Harshad, Harshad. Can you explain or what coagulation and flocculation is? Since you have seen it by yourself, that will be a
Uh,
good experience for people.
Actually, exactly cannot I will not explain, but in Hindi I can say that पहले मतलब पानी कलेक्ट होता है तो बाद में बड़े बड़े टैंक्स में वहाँ फिल्ट्रेशन होता है और बाद में जो सब डस्ट वगैरह होती है वो नीचे सेटल जाती है और बाद में
Exactly.
ऐसे अलग अलग टैंक टैंक में लेके जाते हैं और उससे अलग अलग मतलब अलग अलग टैंक के हिसाब से वो उसका काम होता है।
Okay. Right.
और यहाँ सैंड भी फ्रॉम डिफरेंट रिवर्स लाइक गंगा और वहां से लाई जाती है उसके लिए फिल्ट्रेशन मतलब डिफरेंट डिफरेंट टाइप्स की सैंड लगती है उसे।
Different types की sand लगती है. Exactly. So it is basically all these processes are used that filter water and get it to potable levels. Coagulation is I'll just talk about them briefly. Coagulation is basically a process in which you add a certain chemical that that kind of uh, ensures that this thing is that the impurities become a kind of they kind of come they kind of become a kind of they come together. Have you all has anyone put alum in water and tried what happens to alum in water? Must have studied
या
this at school levels, na? What happens when you put alum in water and stir it a little?
डस्ट सेटल्स इन
So what
एट द
happens was
बॉटम।
alum introduces these charges that actually kind of gets the dirt together to form. It collects the dirt together. Hello, hello. Huh. It
Yes,
Yes.
collects. Yeah,
Tanvesh.
yeah, yeah. It collects the dirt because sometimes it just blanks out. It collects the dirt together. The dirt just kind of sticks together because of this introduction of this new material. It kind of creates this new charge for it, and as a result, it becomes heavier. So when you do the process of flocculation, that is, you just stir it a little by adding a few of the other chemicals. The dirt comes together, forms one big chunk, and it settles down. As you all are aware, water contains both organic as well as inorganic impurities. this is one of the ways in which you ensure that that both the organic as well as inorganic impurities are tackled, so that yeah, so that they can become they improve in, they increase in size and they settle down at the bottom of the thing of the treatment plant. So then you have this process of settlement, like as we discussed, the impurities settle down automatically when kept in a reservoir for a very long time. Sand filtration, water passes through sand, so the physical the larger impurities that are not large, but the finer impurities can be removed because sand kind of provides very small spaces for kind of it prevents it kind of acts like a very thin sieve for the water to go through. And post chlorination is adding the chlorine to yeah, chlorine to the water. Am I more or less right when you had visited? Akshay, are you there?
Yes, yes,
Am I
yes.
more or less right when I just spoke about the processes that you saw?
Yeah, yeah. Yes, sure.
Basically, a process, it's chemical as well as physical process to treat water. Ah, so now we go to the next step where we have a master balancing reservoir. Have we talked about the transmission process that happens in Mumbai? Yeah, they chlorinate the water in swimming pools as well, but this is a process in which the chlorine water can be made potable. So the chlorine is added in specific quantities, and there are types of chlorines also that are required. So this chlorine is not harmful to us. But if you just see during the monsoon times, the taste of water changes. If anyone just observes the drinking water that we get at our homes, and if someone is taste them without going through the process of using aquaguards and other types of RO filters, one would just realize that there is a slight change in the taste that happens during the rainy part of the season, and that is because of the addition of chlorine of certain increase in the proportion of chlorine to the water. So from this water treatment facility at these four places, we move on to the two master balancing reservoirs. The water that is being filtered has to be collected to some place. It has to be collected and then it has to be transmitted to the entire city. So the process of so the third and the fourth boxes represent the process of transmission that we spoke about. Uh, can you see the screen?
Not yet, Gurvesh. It's blanked out.
I can see.
Okay, so it's maybe
I
for me.
can't
It
see.
will load it.
Even I can't see.
See.
Very far ahead.
Could you please explain the MBR part again? So is it like just storing?
It's storing, but kind of you don't want the water to be transmitted directly to the end user, because you can't control the amount of water that is being given to people, right? So so to achieve that, like for example, you have the Vihar and the Tulsi water treatment facilities happening at some far away distance from Bhandup. So that water also has to be brought to some place, right? Without which you cannot have many distribution centers.
Okay,
So
okay.
this master balancing reservoir acts for that purpose. Like the one that is, and also water has to be filtered constantly. That filtered water has to go somewhere and then provided in certain proportions. It can't be happening that you are filtering water and sending out directly, and then that will lead to a very kind of uneven distribution of water over the entire city. So from Bhiwandi, from Panjrapur, this thing is brought to Yavai, which is again outside Mumbai, which is in Thane, where water is just collected for a certain period of time and then it is distributed to 27 other service reservoirs throughout Mumbai. Like there are many located all over. I mean, I think Malabar, there is the Malabar what was it? Hanging Gardens as a reservoir underneath. Then you have some in Borivali, some in Ghatkopar. I think there are two in West Warsaw, two in Borivali. All those, there's one in Goregaon. So all these places have these 27 reservoirs that are located all over the place, and from there, small inlets are used for local different zones across Mumbai, and then finally it reaches the individual user. Has everyone more or less understood the system of distribution of water from the source to the individual user? From the lakes to the water treatment plant to the master balancing reservoirs to the service reservoirs, and then through different inlets to the individual user. Is this more or less
Is
clear?
everyone clear? Yeah.
It's very simple. It's not that difficult. It's just that it's slightly lengthier. ठीक है. Look at certain lakes in Mumbai. This is the Modak Sagar Lake, one of the 7 lakes in Mumbai. I think I should have presented this first. Yeah. So these are the water bodies in Mumbai. Earlier, like you have the Miti River happening, starting originating at the Tulsi Lake, sorry, at the Vihar Lake, and going all the way to its outlet in Bandra. You have the Oshivra River. You have the Kimna, which are the two other rivers? Oshivra River,
Oshivra, Boisar,
Daisar River,
Daisar, and Miti.
Boisar, and Miti. 4
There are
rivers in the
four.
city.
Yeah.
Kima, you want to take over from here with water bodies and
Oh, yeah, I can talk about it. So
yeah.
basically, on the left hand side, you are seeing a map which actually is more like a hydrology map for the city of Mumbai, which has been actually created by P.K. Das and Associate, where it's talking about all the major rivers. Garesh, I can't see the screen.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah, it's coming. It's loading. Yeah. So it's talking about definitely the lakes and the water bodies which are there. Then it's talking about the creeks which are formed, being the island city. It is talking about the major rivers and then its tributaries. So if you try and understand, it's basically the because it's a city which is made up of islands. We are a water city, so the ground table is always going to be very high, and that's why it's also that we have problems in terms of facing the climate change issues like your rising in the sea levels. And if a city like Mumbai or any kind of megapolis, the major issue regarding the rivers, the lakes, and the water bodies are its maintenance. Durvesh was talking about the whole uh, processes which are involved in cleansing those. But because the rivers and the water bodies and lakes needs a certain kind of maintenance within itself, and right now the kind of state the rivers are into, it's a very kind of a very empathetic state, and that's why there are so much of problems, especially to do with the flooding. But because those are the separate issues, let's understand the water sources here because we're talking about the water supply in Mumbai. We never source our water from the rivers, okay? But it generally comes from the Tansa. So if you Tulsi, sorry, which is there. So you have Mumbai, and can you see Tulsi, which is 8,046 million liters, which is coming. Then there is Bihar, which is 27,698. The one which is Tansa, which is much more farther, and from where we actually get our water, it's 1,45,008 080. So eventually, earlier when we used to source the water from Tulsi, and now it's been shifted to Tansa, so it actually comes from a very farthermost point. So if you understand it's Modak Sagar, then comes the middle Vaitana, there is upper Vaitana. From there, it there is also Bhatsa. These are all the reservoirs which we are talking about from where the water supply to the city or the greater metropolitan region gets. Next.
I think it just got hung. Just a minute.
Oh, yeah, it's actually loading. I could see the cursor. You want me to share?
नहीं नेट हैपन इसके साथ होता है इसका यही उड़ जाता है अरे यार
It's loading, Devesh.
ठीक है हाँ oh yeah this is the Modak Sagar lake you
Yeah,
want to continue?
that's the Modasagar Lake image. Next. Okay, just give me control. That's easier.
Allow.
Okay. Can you all see now? No, Duresh, it's not working for me. I think because I'm recording, it's taking a larger bandwidth. So keep the
Probably.
control with you itself.
Okay. So yeah, these are the okay. I want to continue.
Yeah. So this is basically a water treatment plant. What you see is the series of tanks which are there, which have certain kind of processes to be followed. And every time there is a certain kind of a byproduct which is will be in the form of silt or a kind of a sludge, or which is when we say sludge, it's not the drainage sludge which is there, but it's the kind of a clay soil which is getting mixed with the water. So all those impurities are being removed, and generally you will always have these series of tanks through which the gradation of filtration process that happens. And there are certain kinds of policies which are being laid by the corporation that you have to meet a certain kind of nutrient level within the water before it reaches the consumer, or before it's being supplied to the city. Next. So the other thing which is also there is you actually see, you can see these walkways which are there, right? Those walkways are just access points, so that certain kind of tests and certain kind of uh, testing measures can be taken up. Uh, Next, has anyone seen the water treatment plant?
Archer had.
And Harshal, no. Apart from Harshal, no one else. Okay, fine.
I've
ठीक है.
seen it in Aurangabad, not
Yeah, so it is a water. So it's okay. Who's this?
Sahil.
Ruhin. No, Sai.
Sahil.
Okay, Sai. So
We
whenever
spoke
have you actually walked along these aisles? Have you
Uh,
all experienced a certain kind of smell? The whole
yes.
idea of turbidity that Durvesh was talking about. The
Yeah, yeah.
some tanks will actually have denser water, and you can actually feel the turbidity. When the water is being moving through these chambers. Okay, next.
supply systems where you have a continuous system of water supply, where the
Okay,
water
it's
supply.
not
Yes, yes.
loading.
Huh?
It has not changed the slide for me, so I'm wondering. Have you changed the slide, Dinesh?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, now it's changed. Now it's changed.
Huh.
Yeah. So
Should I or should you?
yeah, you can continue if you want. I can continue. Whatever.
No, okay, I'll do it.
Oh,
Sorry, Abhi. Okay. Uh, but the water thing, Kima, you want to add anything? Because the rivers and lake kind of that is your
okay.
forte.
Yeah. So basically, what happens is generally, no, I was not dealing into it because if I was not venturing into it because if you understand the river systems of Mumbai, they were never the water sources, but they were actually looked as the drainage points.
Any, that's why
Uh,
because you know we are talking about the whole cycle and how the whole system
Okay,
is.
okay.
So I
So then
think
I'll just
you
okay, fine. Then I'll cover it up. So if you understand the entire terrain and even the urban rivers, what has happened over a period of time, whether you take it the Thames in London or whether you take it in, the Kalang River in Singapore or the Seoul River in
Malaysia.
Taiwan. So no, it's not Taiwan.
Sorry,
Where is
sorry.
it? Seoul. Seoul is
Yours is
in
in Korea.
Korea, yeah, Korea. Or it be our rivers that we are talking about, like Mithi and Daisar, and oh, they have a certain kind of pressures that they are exposed to as the cities are evolving, and major of the pressures is about encroachment. So generally, if you understand the river ecology, you will always have a blue line, red line, and a gray line. The blue line is the water extent within the river. Then there is something which is called a red line, which is nothing but your high flood line. That in certain kind of flooding scenarios, that the water will come to that extent, and that is your red line, which means the area or the land that lies between your blue and the red line should be kept or secured as a buffer space, and that buffer space is nothing but your uh, uh, riverbeds, okay, or your floodplains that we call it as. Then comes your grey line, wherein beyond that a certain kind of construction can happen. So they generally say that a 30 meters beyond your flood line, which is a red line, you could do the construction. But now most of you must have encountered the rivers across, and you guys must have also seen that there is nothing such red line, blue line, and grey line in Mumbai. What you see is like there are half of the buildings are actually built within the floodplains of Mumbai. But what happens is these are actually mediums in through which the surface discharge or the runoffs and also your sewage discharge happens. But before you pour them into the river, you have to treat it to a certain extent. There is this whole body of CPCB, which is Central Pollution Control Board, which actually takes care of the certain kind of norms in terms of how much should be the BOD, COD of the things. BOD is biological oxygen demand, COD is chemical oxygen demand. These are nothing but elements which are very much part of the river ecology, and it's required to maintain the river systems. Then comes your lakes and ponds. Now, lakes and ponds are something which is so also one interesting fact, because we talked about wells today. If you understand the historical evolutions, most of the settlements, which are, the Gautans and all, have actually come along the river belts. Also, the tribal communities in the Sanjay Gandhi National Park, and there are certain kinds of well network along each river. Like at Daisar, we saw it. Even at Mithi, there were certain wells which are now being defunct. They are being destroyed completely, and they are being taken over by other housing colonies which have come up at the edge of the rivers. But those wells were the source of the water. So what happens is, but that it was not the source of the drinking water, but a lot of people used to use it for their cleaning vessels, washing clothes, and so on and so forth. So if you understand our lifestyle, we always have this domestic water that we use for drinking, and then you have this flushing water which directly comes into uh, the pot for the flushing function. And if you and even for the washing clothes and all, you don't require hard water. So the wells actually provide them with an abundance of water for their ancillary activities apart from the drinking water. Most of the Gautans actually use them still, but somehow because of the pollution that has been created among within the river ecology, it has been actually also entered these wells, and most of the wells have now become defunct, or are only used to wash their cars or rickshaws and motorbikes and things like that. Now you have to understand that the difference between the lake or a pond and the river is going to be a flowing ecology, wherein there is a momentum to the water constantly which is there. However, in the lake and the pond, it's the stagnant water, and then the moment the water is stagnated and is exposed to sunlight, there is going to be a formation of algae and there is going to be a formation of impurities that happen. So, how do you deal with those? Which means that the river ecology has to thrive, which is nothing but there has to be a certain kind of fishes, tadpoles, aquatic plants, which try and create this food cycle within the lake ecology so that it keeps the nutritive value of the lake intact, and then it doesn't hamper the ecology or the nutrient value of that particular water within that lake and the pond. Also, these are your lakes, your ponds become one is the recreational spaces within the city. So that is in another kind of a uh, uh, layer that you could talk about, wherein as architects, how do you try and look at these spaces and activate them. Uh, Anything else you want me to cover specifically, Durvesh?
No,
Because
I
what
think that,
happens
that
is,
point you said very well, that how the river water that is being polluted is actually affecting the wells around it, because the wells
yeah,
that were constructed along the rivers, and how the whole water cycle that we spoke about, that how that we have to maintain, we have to ensure that we cause minimal damage to the environment. How damaging our rivers is actually affecting our drinking water sources too. So it's
true.
not that
Yes. Yeah.
we are getting water and we can put it wherever we want.
Yeah. Also, one more thing is about your see in the hydrological cycle. You have to understand that the cycle has to be complete. The loop has to be complete, and it has to be in the cyclic order. The moment you have precipitation, which is nothing but your rainfall, the water is going to uh, you know uh, come on the surface, and the surface water has to get discharged, and then only you will get a certain kind of dryness, otherwise flooding will happen. And the whole idea of why we are trying to tell you along with the water supply that you have to look at the hydrology, because we as architects are now grappling with this whole idea of urban flooding. We are talking about water shortages, we are talking about water stresses. As Devesh mentioned, we are also talking about high contamination of the groundwater. So it just doesn't become a water supply that is only for your building or the people that you are designing for. So you have to actually look at the larger cycle and how their individual technology or a system that you deploy onto your design affect has a larger impact or affects other networks as well. Any questions?
Everyone's clear on this, because the reason why we're doing is exactly what Kim has said, that you have to have the cycle complete.
Yeah. Actually, it's also about building up the sensitivity towards it,
Sensitivity.
Yeah, because unless and until we don't expose you to this kind of a data or this kind of a knowledge, it's going to be very difficult for you as well to understand that something like this exists and something that like this occurs. Unless and until we really try and delve into that area, which will only happen through experience and as opportunities that come in. So for now, you need to just understand that how the exact the water supply happens, how things have changed and evolved over the period of time.
Yeah, I think Kimra, we have just reached post
Yeah,
end.
I
Should
know.
I
Yeah.
quickly go over the sources of water, because that is not going to take that much amount of time.
You want it to go or you want to take it next class? I'm okay with it. I have something at 4:30 though, but yeah.
Okay. So then should I continue with, so are the students okay if I just take five more minutes? Five,
I'm
seven
okay.
more minutes. Hey, but will the students be okay?
Yeah.
They must also be tired na
Students,
सुबह AD ये था IDS था, then they must have
ideas.
something else.
Are you
बीच में
awake, guys?
are you all there? No one has responded. No one has even said yes or no in quite some time.
Yeah. Yes, yes. Hi. Yes,
इधर
we
है.
are here. So you want us to continue or you want us to take it next class?
Kind of just
Next
5 more
time,
minutes.
please. Next time,
Could you
please.
please take it next?
The kind of was for if asking if I read.
Okay.
क्या हुआ?
Okay.
क्यों I didn't get it properly. क्या हुआ?
No, I think the kind of was like, I think they were tired. That's why. That's what you meant?
I think it got a little
No,
information heavy.
yes.
We could just please
Uh,
continue from next class.
Okay. So
no, I
let's
said
continue
kind of.
next class, maybe.
Hey, what was
I'm
it? Was more information क्या?
no. I just
That was Ambika.
Hi,
What
Ambika,
sorry,
was
I said it got a little information heavy. We've taken a lot of notes, so I don't know if anybody
okay,
wants to
okay.
continue right now.
Yeah, Aishwarya is also saying there's lots to digest. Okay. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording now.
yeah.